Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walahu, amma ba'd. Famarhaban bikum. This is your walkthrough for resource number 29. That is the quiz that comes after lesson 29 in our series of classes on the Ajurrumiya primer in basic Arabic grammar. To benefit from this recording, you should have already studied lesson number 29, understood it, reviewed your lesson, and attempted resource number 29 in your workbook on page number 136 on your own. And now we'll go over the answers together, insha'Allah ta'ala, as this activity does not include any answers provided in the answer key. So let's look at it together. Resource 29, As'ilatu Muraja'a min ad-dars at-tasi'i wal-'ishrin. Review questions for lesson number 29. استخرج من سورة النبأ ما استطعت من الكلمات المطلوبة في القائمة أسفل. Extract from Surah An-Naba, which is found there, all 40 verses of it, all of the words that you can, which are requested in the table below. So look under the surah, you find 4 rows with 4 columns. So the columns are for the cases, marfu', mansub, makhfud, and majzoom. And the rows are for the actual language items you'll need to find. So the first kind of word you'll need to find is jam'a mu'annathin saliman. And so you're being asked to find a marfu' example, a mansub example, a makhfud example. Well, one is already given to you. And a majzoom example, except that there's an X written there. And you should know why, because there's no such thing as a noun, which is majzoom. And you'll definitely need to go ahead and put an X in one of those 4 cases for every language item, because you're either going to be asked for a noun or a verb, and whichever one it is, there are only 3 cases that those words could be in. So the next language item you'll need to find is isman mufradan la yansarifu. La yansarif means mamnu' min as-sarf. So you have to find a singular noun here. One that's marfu', one that's mansub, one that's makhfud, and one that's majzoom. And of course, one of them is impossible, and I think you should know. And then thirdly, jam'a taksirin la yansarifu. You'll need examples of irregular plurals that are mamnu' min as-sarf. These are nouns, of course. One marfu', one mansub, one makhfud, and one majzoom, and one of them is not possible again. And then the last language item is fi'lan mudari'an mu'tal al-akhir, a present tense verb with a harf illa at the end of it. Its last letter is a harf illa, and again a marfu' example, one that's mansub, one that's makhfud, and one that is majzoom, and one of those is not even possible. So let's go ahead and read the surah. I'll read it in a straightforward way. Think about the 4 language items you're looking for as you go through it. Remember, an irregular feminine plural, a singular noun that's mamnu' min as-sarf, an irregular plural that's mamnu' min as-sarf, and a present tense verb with a harf illa in the last place of it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عما يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم 7 شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا. That's the surah. So if you haven't exhausted yourself at this time trying to find all 14 requested answers, then go ahead, pause the recording now, and only continue when you are ready to go over the answers with me. Okay, so let's see how well you did. So just before going over these answers, a couple of things. Firstly, there were a lot of items here that are just not found in the surah. And so if you had a difficult time and you were saying like, why is he requesting all these things and they're not there? Then you know your language. Allahumma barik. So part of being firm in your knowledge is being able to say, La yujad, idh la yujad. Being able to say, this is not found here. I'll just put an X here when there is no example of such a language item. And you do it confidently because you know there is no example for that. Barakallahu feekum. And secondly, you should have been able to simply start with 3 X's that you would add before you would even begin contemplating the correct answers for these requests. So you should have been able to simply put an X over the majzoom column for the second and third requested items. Isman mufradan la yansarifu and jam'a taksirin la yansarifu. Of course, there would be no majzoom example for either of those because those are nouns and there is no such thing as an ism majzoom. And then for the last language item, fi'lan mudari'an, because it's a fi'l, then you know there's no such thing as a fi'l makhfud. So then you would have put an X over the third column from the right, and you would not have wasted your time trying to find an example. So that leaves us with 11 possible answer choices. Of those 11, you should have only been able to find 4 answers to put in this table. And that's because there is no example of a jam'a mu'annithin saliman marfu', nor isman mufradan la yansarifu marfu', or makhfud, nor are there examples of jam'a taksir la yansarifu marfu' or makhfud, nor are there any examples of a fi'l mudari' mu'tal al-akhir mansub or majzoom. So all we have is one possible answer for each row. So let's see if you picked one or some of the right answers. جمع مؤنث سالما, you could have found a mansub. Example, in the 16th verse, وَجَنَّاتٍ أَلْفَافًا. Jannat is mansub. علامة نصبه الكسرة. That's in the 16th verse. And I don't know of another example that you could have chosen for this request. Then under that, اسما مفردا لا ينصرف منصوبا, you could have used the word جهنم in the 21st verse. إن جهنم كانت مرصادا. So here Jahannam is ismu inna, it's mansub, and علامة نصبه الفتحة. Not two fathas because it's ممنوع من الصرف. بارك الله فيكم. And then under that, جمع تكسير لا ينصرف منصوبا. You could have chosen one of two possible answers, and they are found in back-to-back verses in the 32nd and 33rd verses. حدائق in verse 32, or كواعب in verse 33. Either of those are جمع تكسير لا ينصرف منصوب. And so then that leads us to the most difficult one, and that was a فعلا مضارعا معتل الآخر. And you could have found one of two answers in the 18th verse or the 27th verse. فتأتون in the 18th verse is from أتى يأتي. That's a فعلا مضارعا معتل الآخر. And as well, يرجون in the 27th verse is from raja yarju. Now it is totally understandable if you couldn't extract either of these two for this final answer. So consider this one extra credit. May Allah Ta'ala bless you tremendously. I hope you did well. I hope this activity did not give you that much of a headache. May Allah Ta'ala bless you for all of your hard work and grant you success in learning the magnificent language of the Quran. And now it's time to get ready for lesson number 30. May Allah Ta'ala grant us all success. وصلي اللهم وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.